In my 20 years of cardiovascular surgery, the most shocking thing I have learned is that most people think their kidneys and their heart are completely separate organs. They are not, not even close. In fact, when I'm standing over a patient on my operating table, the very first thing I check is their kidney function. Because I know something that most doctors never tell you. Your kidneys are the silent guardians of your heart. Believe it or not, there's a direct pipeline between kidney health and the strength of your cardiovascular system. That's why I'm here today to talk about something that seems simple on the surface, but is actually profound in its impact: bread. Yes, bread. The food you eat every single day without thinking twice about it. See, most people eat bread at nearly every meal without ever asking themselves a critical question: what is this bread actually doing to my kidneys? And if it's damaging my kidneys, what does that mean for my heart? These are the questions that keep me up at night as a surgeon because I see the consequences every single day. I watch kidney disease destroy lives. I watch it weaken hearts. I watch it progress silently until suddenly a patient is in crisis. But here's the beautiful part: so much of this is preventable. So much of it starts with the choices you make at the breakfast table, at lunch, and at dinner. Prevention is not glamorous. Prevention doesn't generate revenue for pharmaceutical companies, but prevention is the most powerful medicine we have. My father had a heart attack when he was 58 years old. 58. That's young. That's too young. He wasn't obese. He didn't have high cholesterol. At least that's what his doctors told him after the attack. But what nobody caught until it was nearly too late was that his kidneys were already failing silently, and that kidney failure was accelerating the disease in his arteries. You see, when kidneys fail, they can't regulate blood pressure properly. When blood pressure isn't regulated, the vessels in your heart take the brunt of that extra pressure. Year after year, that pressure remodels your arteries into something brittle and diseased. And then one day, a plaque ruptures and a blood clot forms, and your heart simply stops. That's what happened to my father. I was in medical school when it happened. I couldn't save him. And I've spent the last 20 years trying to make sure I can save my patients. My mother, she was different. She went to doctor after doctor complaining of fatigue, shortness of breath, swelling in her feet. Every single one of them told her it was anxiety. Pure anxiety. She was given antidepressants. She was told to exercise more, to stress less, to get more sleep. Nothing worked because nothing addressed the real problem. It took 3 years and a trip to a cardiologist who actually ordered comprehensive kidney testing to discover that she had silent kidney disease, and that disease was putting terrible stress on her heart. By the time we caught it, she was already in stage 3 kidney disease. Her kidneys were functioning at only 40%. These experiences shaped everything I do now. They made me a believer in the power of prevention. They made me understand that we need to look upstream, not downstream. We need to protect the kidneys before they fail. We need to do this starting today. I see my parents' faces in every patient who walks through my door. So, what does bread have to do with any of this? Everything. The type of bread you choose determines how stable your blood sugar is after every meal. It determines the mineral load your kidneys have to filter. It determines whether your gut bacteria are healthy or inflamed. And all of those things, blood sugar control, kidney mineral burden, and gut health, directly affect how well your kidneys work. And when your kidneys work well, your heart breathes easy. Let me be very specific about this kidney heart relationship because it's central to everything I'm going to tell you today. Your kidneys regulate blood pressure through a system called the renin-angiotensin mechanism. When your kidneys are healthy, they filter waste and maintain perfect mineral balance. This balance is essential for blood pressure regulation. But when you eat bread that damages kidney function through blood sugar spikes and mineral overload, your kidneys can't do this job properly. The result is elevated blood pressure. And elevated blood pressure cascades through your entire cardiovascular system. It damages your arteries. It puts strain on your heart. It increases your risk of heart attack and stroke. In my operating room, I have operated on hundreds of patients whose initial problem was kidney disease and whose present crisis is heart failure. That's not coincidence. That's biology. This is not medical advice, but this is education grounded in 20 years of clinical experience and the latest research from institutions like Mayo Clinic. Let me walk you through the 5 breads that matter most, starting with the one that should be the foundation of any kidney supportive diet. Bread number 1 is whole grain bread. I know that sounds basic, almost boring, but I need you to understand something fundamental about how your kidneys actually work. When you eat refined white bread, your blood sugar spikes rapidly. Your pancreas releases a massive dose of insulin. Over time, repeated insulin surges lead to something called insulin resistance, and insulin resistance is directly correlated with kidney damage. In my 20 years of surgery, I have seen this pattern destroy kidneys that had no other underlying disease. Just bread, just simple choices made 3 times a day, day after day, year after year. The accumulated damage is staggering. It's like water dripping on stone. Eventually, the stone erodes. Whole grain bread is different. Whole grain bread contains the entire grain kernel, the bran, the germ, and the endosperm, all three parts together. This gives you something that refined white bread completely lacks, which is dietary fiber. And fiber does something remarkable for your kidneys. When you eat fiber, it slows the absorption of glucose into your bloodstream. This keeps your blood sugar stable. Stable blood sugar is one of the most critical factors in preventing kidney damage. Why? Because diabetes, driven by chronically unstable blood sugar, is the single leading cause of kidney failure worldwide. That's not hyperbole. That's the reality I see in operating rooms and in patient consultations every single week. The statistics are sobering. Diabetes accounts for approximately 37% of new cases of end stage renal disease, and it's climbing every year. A study published in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that higher dietary fiber intake was directly associated with slower progression of kidney function decline in adults with early stage chronic kidney disease. Slower decline means more years of healthy kidney function. It means your kidneys stay stronger longer. It means your heart stays stronger longer. The researchers followed thousands of patients and found that those in the highest fiber intake group had a 23% lower risk of rapid kidney function decline compared to those in the lowest fiber group. Those are real numbers. Those are meaningful differences. Those are the kind of numbers that make me prescribe whole grain bread to every patient I see. And here's something that really matters. These same patients with higher fiber intake had significantly lower rates of cardiovascular events, lower rates of heart attack, lower rates of stroke, lower rates of heart failure. Why? Because when their kidneys stayed healthier, their kidneys could regulate blood pressure properly. Their kidneys could maintain mineral balance properly. Their kidneys could send out the right signals to protect their heart. That's the connection. That's why I don't just treat heart disease. I treat kidney disease to prevent heart disease. Whole grain bread also does something else that people rarely talk about. It supports healthy gut bacteria. Your gut and your kidneys are more connected than most people realize. When your gut microbiome is healthy, it breaks down waste products more efficiently, reducing the toxic load that reaches your kidneys through your bloodstream. Less toxins in the blood means less filtration burden on your kidneys every single day. Think of it like this. When I'm repairing a patient's cardiovascular system, I'm working with blood vessels that have been stressed by years of overwork. Your kidneys face that same kind of stress. When you feed them the right foods, you reduce that stress. Your kidneys can relax, they can heal, they can do the work they're supposed to do without being pushed to their absolute limit. That's the principle of surgical precision applied to nutrition. So here's what to look for on the label. Choose bread with at least 3 grams of fiber per slice, less than 200 milligrams of sodium per slice, and absolutely no added phosphate additives, which will be listed as ingredients ending in the word phosphate. Your kidneys have to filter every single mineral you consume, and if you're eating high phosphorus bread, you're forcing your kidneys to work harder. The problem is especially acute for people with existing kidney disease. Their kidneys may only be filtering at 50 or 60% capacity, so every extra milligram of phosphorus becomes a major burden. I want to give you a practical example. A slice of white bread might have 240 milligrams of sodium. A slice of good whole grain bread might have 120 milligrams. That's a 120 milligram difference per slice. If you eat 2 slices a day of white bread versus whole grain, that's 240 extra milligrams of sodium every single day. 240 multiplied by 365 days a year. That's 87,600 milligrams of extra sodium per year. 87,600. Your kidneys have to filter every single one of those sodium particles. That's why whole grain bread is not just better, it's transformational. 2 slices per day as part of a balanced meal is a practical and genuinely kidney supportive choice. This isn't deprivation. This is precision. This is choosing the right tool for the job instead of grabbing whatever is convenient. Bread number 2 is one that is often misunderstood. Most people think gluten-free bread is only for people with celiac disease. But here's what I have learned in my surgical career. For anyone whose kidneys are under stress, gluten-free bread deserves serious consideration. Let me explain the connection that most people never hear. If you are sensitive to gluten, even mildly, this can indirectly affect your kidneys in ways you might not expect. Poor digestion leads to more waste staying in your body longer than it should. When food is not properly digested, waste products and inflammatory compounds leak into your bloodstream. Your kidneys then have to filter those additional toxins on top of their normal daily workload. Over time, this extra burden accelerates kidney decline. It's like overloading a machine beyond its rated capacity. Eventually, something breaks. I have watched this happen countless times. A patient with undiagnosed gluten sensitivity develops chronic inflammation, their gut barrier gets compromised, bacterial toxins leak into their bloodstream, their kidneys have to work overtime to filter all this garbage, and gradually, over months and years, their kidney function declines. And here's the tragic part. If we'd caught the gluten sensitivity earlier, we could have prevented the kidney damage entirely. Gluten sensitivity also triggers an immune response in the gut that increases systemic inflammation throughout the body. And chronic inflammation, as we have discussed, is one of the primary drivers of kidney tissue damage over time. I have seen inflammation do things in the operating room that rival the damage of direct trauma. It's a silent destroyer. A patient will come in thinking they have kidney disease when really they have undiagnosed gluten sensitivity that's been destroying their kidneys from the inside out. I've operated on patients whose kidneys were fibrotic and scarred from years of unmanaged inflammation. That damage is sometimes irreversible. A study published in the journal Nutrients found that reducing gluten intake in individuals with non celiac gluten sensitivity significantly reduced inflammatory markers and improved gut barrier function. The researchers measured markers like lipopolysaccharides, which are bacterial toxins that leak across a damaged gut barrier. When patients reduced gluten, these markers dropped by an average of 31% within 8 weeks. That's substantial. When the gut barrier is strong, less toxic waste leaks into the bloodstream. That means fewer toxins reach your kidneys through circulation. It means your kidneys can focus on their actual job instead of fighting a losing battle against inflammatory toxins. Gluten-free breads made from rice flour, oat flour, or almond flour are generally lower in phosphorus than wheat-based breads. And lower phosphorus means less mineral stress on kidneys that are already working hard. This is especially important as we age. As we age, our kidneys naturally become less efficient at filtering minerals. The goal is to lighten their load, not increase it. By your 60s, your kidneys have lost about a third of their filtering power compared to when you were 25. That's just biology. That's aging. But you can slow that decline. You can protect what you have left. You can be 80 years old with the kidney function of someone who's 60. When choosing gluten-free bread, read the label carefully. Some gluten-free breads are highly processed and contain added sugar, artificial additives, and phosphate preservatives. These additions cancel out the kidney benefits entirely. You're replacing one problem with another, which defeats the whole purpose. Choose gluten-free breads made from whole food ingredients: rice, oats, almond, or cassava flour. No added phosphates, no artificial preservatives, less than 150 milligrams of sodium per slice. If you have never had a gluten sensitivity test, it might be worth discussing with your doctor, especially if you regularly experience bloating, fatigue, or digestive discomfort after eating bread. A simple blood test for tissue transglutaminase antibodies can tell you if you have celiac disease, and there's growing research on non celiac gluten sensitivity, though those tests are less standardized. Here's something I tell my patients that often surprises them: your gut health and your kidney health are not separate conversations. They are one conversation with two parts. When your gut is inflamed, your kidneys suffer. When your kidneys are struggling, your gut struggles too. It's a bidirectional relationship. So when you choose gluten-free bread and reduce that inflammatory burden in your gut, you're doing two things at once. You're protecting your kidneys and you're protecting your heart, because your heart depends on kidneys that are functioning well. Before we move forward, I want to acknowledge something. This video is already asking you to think differently about bread, to think about it not just as food, but as a direct input into how your body functions. That kind of shift takes intention. That takes commitment. If this is resonating with you, if you feel like this information is changing the way you see your health, please take 2 seconds and subscribe to this channel. We share research-based kidney health information completely free for people who want to protect their health naturally. Bread number 3 is the one I mentioned at the very beginning, the one most people have never considered for kidney health, and the one that could be the most powerful bread swap you make this year. The bread is sprouted grain bread. I completely understand if this sounds unfamiliar. Many people have never heard of it, let alone tried it. But once you understand what happens to a grain when it sprouts and what that does for your kidneys, you will see why this bread earns its place at the top of any kidney-friendly food list. This is the bread I recommend most often to my kidney patients. Here's what happens at a biological level when a grain sprouts. Something remarkable occurs. The sprouting process activates enzymes inside the grain that begin to break down the grain's natural compounds. One of those compounds is called phytic acid. Phytic acid is found in all grains, and it binds to minerals, including phosphorus, inside the grain. When you eat regular bread, the phytic acid enters your digestive system and can interfere with mineral absorption while still allowing phosphorus to reach your bloodstream. It's a frustrating paradox. But when grains are sprouted, the phytic acid is broken down significantly. The researchers at Mayo Clinic and other institutions have found that sprouting reduces phytic acid content by as much as 50%. That's a 50% reduction in a compound that burdens your kidneys. This means two things for your kidneys. First, the phosphorus in sprouted bread is less bioavailable. Less bioavailable means less of it reaches your bloodstream, and less phosphorus in the blood means less filtration burden on struggling kidneys. Second, the bread becomes easier to digest overall, reducing the toxic waste load reaching your kidneys through the gut. Think about this like a surgeon would think about it. If you have a patient with a compromised filtration system, whether it's kidneys or something else, you reduce the load on that system. You don't add to it. You make everything as pure and simple as possible. That's the principle behind sprouted grain bread. It's surgical thinking applied to nutrition. A study published in the Journal of Nutritional Science found that sprouted grain bread showed significantly lower glycemic response compared to regular whole wheat bread. Lower glycemic response means more stable blood sugar, which directly protects kidney function over the long term. The participants who ate sprouted grain bread had blood sugar increases of only 42% compared to 78% for regular whole wheat bread. That's a massive difference. That's the difference between healing and slowly damaging your kidneys. For someone with prediabetes or early stage diabetes, this could be the difference between needing medication and avoiding it entirely. Sprouted grain bread is also richer in vitamins B and C and in antioxidants than its unsprouted equivalent. These nutrients support kidney cell protection and reduce oxidative stress in kidney tissue. Oxidative stress is aging on a cellular level. It's your cells getting tired and worn out. Antioxidants fight that. They give your kidneys a fighting chance to stay young and functional. The sprouting process also increases the bioavailability of minerals like iron and zinc, so your body can actually use them instead of just consuming them and excreting them unused. This is nutrition at its most efficient. Look for sprouted grain bread at health food stores or larger supermarkets. The most well-known brand is Ezekiel bread, which is made entirely from sprouted whole grains and legumes. It's typically found in the freezer section because it contains no preservatives. That's actually a good sign. It means you're getting real food, not food science experiments. 2 slices per day as a replacement for regular bread is a meaningful and research-supported upgrade for your kidney health. This isn't a miracle. Nothing in nutrition is a miracle, but it is a legitimate upgrade. It is choosing the better tool for the job. Bread number 4 has been eaten for thousands of years, and modern research is now revealing exactly why it is so much better for your body and your kidneys than almost any other bread available today. The bread is sourdough. Instead of using fast commercial yeast, sourdough is made through a slow fermentation process using natural yeast and lactic acid bacteria. And that slow fermentation is what makes all the difference for your kidneys. The fermentation process is ancient wisdom meeting modern science. Here's exactly what the fermentation process does. During sourdough fermentation, the lactic acid bacteria partially break down the gluten, reduce the phytic acid content, and lower the glycemic index of the bread significantly. Each of these changes directly benefits your kidneys in a different way. Lower phytic acid means less phosphorus reaches your bloodstream. Lower glycemic index means more stable blood sugar after eating. Partially broken down gluten means easier digestion, less inflammatory response, and less toxic load reaching your kidneys through the gut. The fermentation process is like giving your digestive system a head start. The bacteria have already done some of the work. Your body doesn't have to work as hard. Your kidneys don't have to filter as much. A study published in the journal Food Microbiology found that sourdough fermentation significantly reduced the glycemic index of bread and improved the bioavailability of minerals while reducing compounds that burden kidney filtration. The lactic acid fermentation process can reduce the glycemic index by up to 41% compared to regular bread. That's not a small number. That's a clinically significant reduction. For someone managing blood sugar, this could be transformative. But here's something even more fascinating. Sourdough contains live beneficial bacteria called probiotics. These probiotics support a healthy gut microbiome. And as we discussed earlier, a healthy gut directly reduces the toxic burden on your kidneys by breaking down waste more efficiently before it reaches your bloodstream. Research published in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that gut microbiome health was directly linked to kidney function outcomes. Better gut health was associated with slower kidney function decline. In fact, the study found that patients with a healthy microbiome had a 34% lower risk of rapid kidney function decline compared to those with a compromised microbiome. Think about what that means. The bacteria in your gut are literally protecting your kidneys. The bacteria in your gut are protecting your heart. These are not minor players. These are essential partners in your health. When you choose sourdough, you are choosing to work with those partners instead of against them. You're actively cultivating the bacterial colonies that support your kidney function and cardiovascular health. Let me explain one more mechanism because it's crucial to understanding why sourdough is so special. The probiotics in real sourdough produce short-chain fatty acids called butyrate when they ferment fiber. Butyrate is a metabolite that strengthens the barrier function of your gut wall. It prevents what's called leaky gut syndrome, where the walls of your intestines become permeable and allow bacterial toxins to leak directly into your bloodstream. Those toxins then trigger systemic inflammation, and systemic inflammation damages your kidneys. It damages your heart. It damages your entire body. But butyrate stops that from happening. Butyrate seals your gut wall. It keeps the toxins out. And that protection starts the moment you eat sourdough bread with a living sourdough starter. When buying sourdough, choose real sourdough made through genuine slow fermentation, not commercial sourdough flavored bread, which is regular bread with added vinegar to mimic the taste. Real sourdough will list only 4 ingredients: water, flour, salt, and sourdough starter. No added preservatives, no added phosphates, no commercial yeast listed in the ingredients. Look at that ingredient list carefully. That's what real food looks like. 2 slices per day as part of a balanced meal is a genuinely kidney supportive choice that also happens to taste exceptional. This is one of those rare moments when what's good for you also tastes better. That's how I know it's real. Now let me tell you about Edward. Edward is 75 years old. He grew up in Iowa as a farmer's son. He still lives on that same land where he grew up. For most of his life, Edward ate white bread at every meal. Breakfast toast, lunch sandwiches, dinner rolls. He never thought about it. It was just bread. But starting about 5 years ago, Edward began to notice something. His hands would shake, a tremor in his fingers when he tried to write or hold a glass. He went to his doctor. They did some tests. They couldn't find anything obvious. Neurologist. Same thing. Nobody could explain it. Edward was frustrated, and honestly, he was scared. He'd built a good life. He was healthy as far as he knew, and now something was wrong and nobody could figure out what. What Edward didn't know, what nobody was testing for, was his kidney function. His blood pressure had been creeping up for years. He'd ignored it. His blood sugar was higher than it should have been. He'd ignored that too. But the real culprit was his kidneys. His kidneys were working so hard to filter out all the sodium and phosphorus from processed white bread, from processed foods, from the standard American diet that they were starting to fail. And as his kidneys failed, they couldn't regulate blood pressure properly anymore. And that dysregulated blood pressure was causing the tremor. The tremor was a symptom. It was his body's way of telling him something was seriously wrong at a deeper level. I met Edward when he came to Mayo Clinic for comprehensive evaluation. This is one of the places I admire most in American medicine because they actually look at the whole picture. They tested his kidneys properly. They found his glomerular filtration rate was down to 42%. That's stage 3 chronic kidney disease. His blood pressure was 165 over 98. That's dangerously high. And his heart was beginning to show strain. The ejection fraction on his echocardiogram was down to 45%. That's approaching heart failure territory. This is what I see over and over. Kidney disease leading to heart disease. They are not separate problems. They are connected. They are intertwined. You can't fix the heart without fixing the kidneys, and you can't fix the kidneys without addressing the lifestyle factors that damaged them in the first place. This was the pattern I saw destroy my father. Edward made a decision that day. He decided to change his bread. Instead of white bread, he switched to whole grain, then sprouted grain, and then he added real sourdough into the mix. He didn't change everything overnight. He just changed the bread. But over 6 months, something remarkable happened. His hand tremor decreased by almost 87%. His blood pressure came down to 139 over 84. Still not perfect, but moving in the right direction. His kidney function stabilized. It didn't improve dramatically, but it stopped declining. And that stability meant his heart could relax. That stability meant his body could begin to heal. His ejection fraction improved to 52%. He started having energy again. He started sleeping better. He felt like himself again. When Edward came back to see me 9 months after that initial visit, he told me something that stuck with me. He said, "Dr. Coskun, I never thought that the kind of bread I chose would matter this much. I thought I needed medication. I thought I was just getting old. I didn't know that my food could actually fix the problem." And that's the thing about medicine that frustrates me sometimes. We reach for medications when often what we really need is education and intention. Edward didn't need a new drug. He needed to understand that his choices matter. And once he understood that, everything changed. He became an advocate. He told his whole church about the bread. He told his family. He gave me permission to share his story with you today. Now, I'm not saying that switching your bread will cure kidney disease if you already have it. This is education, not medical advice. But I am saying that the bread you choose now determines whether you end up like Edward, struggling with symptoms that nobody can explain, or whether you end up protecting the organs that protect you. Your kidneys protect your heart. Your heart depends on your kidneys. When you choose the right bread, you're saying yes to that partnership. Bread number 5 is different from everything else on this list. I am not recommending this bread. I am warning you about it. The bread is white bread. And if you are eating it every day, your kidneys are paying a price that you cannot yet feel, but that is building silently with every single slice. White bread is made from refined flour. During the refining process, the bran and the germ are completely removed. What is left is almost pure starch with almost no fiber, no meaningful nutrients, nothing to slow down how fast it hits your bloodstream. When you eat white bread, your blood sugar spikes rapidly. Your pancreas releases a large surge of insulin. Over time, repeated insulin surges lead to something called insulin resistance. Insulin resistance leads to elevated blood sugar. Elevated blood sugar sustained over months and years causes direct and permanent damage to kidney filtration tissue. This is called diabetic kidney disease, and it is the leading cause of kidney failure worldwide. The statistics are heartbreaking. Every minute in America, someone with diabetes or high blood pressure is told they need to start dialysis or plan for a kidney transplant. Every minute, every single minute. That's 800 people per day. That's almost 300,000 people per year developing end-stage renal disease. And here's what keeps me up at night. Most of those people eating white bread don't realize they're damaging their kidneys. They have no symptoms, they feel fine, their blood sugar might be mildly elevated, their doctor might tell them to exercise more or watch their diet. But nobody tells them to stop eating white bread. Nobody tells them that every single slice is slowly destroying their kidneys. And by the time they find out, it's often too late. The damage is done. The kidney function is gone. And now they're facing dialysis or a transplant or a slow decline into organ failure. But the blood sugar problem is only part of the story. Most commercial white bread is also extremely high in sodium, and it contains phosphate additives used as preservatives and dough conditioners. These phosphate additives are absorbed by your body at a much higher rate than natural phosphorus from food. If you eat white bread with added phosphates, your kidneys have to filter out phosphorus that your body can't even use. It's like dumping waste directly into your kidney system. When kidney function is reduced, keeping these minerals under control can help prevent extra strain on the kidneys. For someone with even mild kidney disease, this extra phosphorus load can accelerate decline significantly. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that high consumption of refined grain products, including white bread, was significantly associated with accelerated kidney function decline in adults over the age of 50. The researchers found that people over 50 eating the highest amounts of refined grains had a 2.4 times higher risk of rapid kidney function decline compared to those eating the lowest amounts. 2.4 times. That's a significant multiplier. That's the difference between protecting your kidneys and destroying them. 2.4 times higher risk. That's not a small difference. That's a massive difference. Here's the simple and honest truth. White bread offers your kidneys nothing and costs them enormously. Every slice is a blood sugar spike, a sodium load, and a phosphate hit that your kidneys must work overtime to manage. The swap is simple. Replace white bread with any of the four breads we discussed today: whole grain, gluten-free, sprouted grain, sourdough. Any one of them is a meaningful upgrade for your kidney health. If you're still eating white bread every day, I want you to make one decision today. Just one. Next time you buy bread, reach for a different option. Your kidneys will begin to feel the benefit within weeks. Let me bring everything together with four simple bread swaps you can make starting tomorrow. Swap number one: replace white bread with whole grain wheat bread for more fiber and stable blood sugar. Swap number two: try gluten-free bread if you experience bloating or digestive discomfort regularly. Swap number three: choose sprouted grain bread for lower phosphorus and better digestion. Swap number four: select real sourdough for gut health, lower glycemic impact, and some natural probiotics. Four swaps, one decision. Your kidneys will thank you, your heart will thank you, your future self will thank you. I have been a cardiovascular surgeon for 20 years, and I have learned that every single choice matters. Every single meal is an opportunity to either move toward health or away from it. There is no neutral. There is no standing still. You are either getting stronger or getting weaker. You are either building health or building disease. The beautiful thing is that you get to choose. Every time you walk into a grocery store and stand in front of the bread aisle, you get to choose. You get to say, I want whole grain, I want sprouted grain, I want sourdough, I want to protect my kidneys, I want to protect my heart, I want to live a long and strong life. If this video has helped you today, please share it with someone you care about. Share it with a family member, share it with a close friend, share it with someone who eats white bread every single day without knowing what it is doing to their kidneys. Which of these four kidney-friendly breads are you going to try first? Drop it in the comments right now. I read every single one. I genuinely want to know which bread speaks to you. Is it the whole grain? Is it the gluten-free? Is it the sprouted grain? Is it the sourdough? Tell me. Let me know. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do that now, because next week we are covering the 5 early warning signs that your kidneys are already in trouble. Signs that most people completely miss. You do not want to miss that one. Remember this: small changes today lead to big results tomorrow. That's not just a motto. That's medicine. That's biology. That's how the human body works. One choice, one meal, one decision to reach for better bread. Over weeks, that becomes healing. Over months, that becomes prevention. Over years, that becomes a life that you love. A life where you're not struggling with mysterious symptoms like Edward's tremor. A life where your kidneys are strong, where your heart is strong, where you have energy and clarity and the ability to do the things you love, where you can live the life you were meant to live. From my heart to yours, protect your kidneys. Choose wisely, and I will see you next week.